We don't.
All right, I have 4:15. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would you please rise and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, Sam Martin.
Here.
Bob Freeman. Yep. Rick Morgan's here. Public input. Anybody? Anybody have anything under public input before we start into the red folder? Okay. First order of business, we have the minutes of the Selectmen's meeting which occurred on Monday, December 11th. Make a motion, we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the minutes of the Selectmen's Finance meeting and work session which occurred on Monday, December 11th. I make a motion, we accept them as printed.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. You vote on that one?
Yes, aye.
Okay. Check voucher totals. Payroll for week ending 12/16 was $43,681.04. Accounts payable for week ending 12/9, $26,095.94. A school payment in the amount of $434,058 for a total dispersed last week of $503,834.98. Additionally, we had accounts payable out of the water and sewer in the amount of $5,575.56. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
These are just the batch totals. Each and every bill is reviewed and initialed independently. We all have had a chance to review all of this stuff prior to the meeting. We have a payroll reimbursement request from the Water and Sewer Department in the amount of $3,386.85. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a letter which I presume the police chief has asked for?
Yes.
Our police chief asked us to write a letter in support of a grant that Carroll County is going for, and I'll read it. State of New Hampshire State Homeland Security Grants. The town of Ossipee is writing in support of the Carroll County grant proposal for the Homeland Security Grant Program through the New Hampshire Department of Safety. The town of Ossipee is located in Carroll County as the county seat. Several state and county facilities, including Carroll County Superior Court, Ossipee District Court, and Carroll County Jail are located in our jurisdiction. We support the collaboration to strengthen the communication capabilities of the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. The town of Ossipee solely utilizes the Carroll County Dispatch Service to handle all police, fire, and rescue calls, including mutual aid assistance. Communication between these entities is of the utmost importance to ensure the safety of our citizens. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have a notice of intent to cut wood or timber. This is on map 36, lot 15, on Elm Street, 48 acres. The owner is a Gregory Chabot, and the logger is Richard Buswell. The taxes have been paid. I make a motion we approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a request for a clerical abatement. This is on map 104, lot 14004. The reason for the abatement is property was sold, so therefore the wrong owner was billed. It results in a refund or abatement of $86. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is a supplemental warrant for the same $86 to go to the corrected individual. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Request for clerical abatement. This is on map 130, lot 12, sub block 57. It's a camper that was sold and taken off the site prior to April 1st, 2017. This property was erroneously left on the list we received as a current camper from the campground. Results in a refund of $139. I make a motion to sign. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Request for clerical abatement. This is on map 86, lot 4. The reason is the property wasn't properly conveyed to the new owner per the deed. Unfortunately, a different piece of property was incorrectly conveyed. It results in a request for clerical abatement in the amount of $171. I make a motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And this is a supplemental warrant to collect that $171 from the rightful owner. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a request for clerical abatement. This is on map 86, lot 3. This property was incorrectly conveyed. We purchased 46 Hucken Street, not 95 Route 16B. Results in a refund of $579. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a supplemental warrant in the amount of $579 to collect the taxes from the right owner. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're coming toward the end of them. The request for clerical abatement. This is on map 17, lot 14. This is a camper that was registered for the 2017 tax year and should not have accrued a tax bill. This results in a refund of $49. I make a motion we sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Request for abatement. This is on map 17, lot 14, sub W2. It's a camper, again, that was registered. It should not have accrued a tax bill. Results in a refund of $60. I make a motion we sign. All in favor?
Aye.
And finally, request for abatement, map 29, lot 1, sub A26. This is a camper that was registered, should have been, therefore been exempt. Results in a refund of $154.80. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have a request from our forest fire warden to appoint 3 new deputy wardens. They are Joseph Burkett, Cameron Quigley, and Duncan Wentworth. Again, they're all recommended by our forest fire warden, and I make a motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have the updated list, which we have to do every year, to provide to the state the list of of reappointing the wardens which have been serving in the past, and certifying that they've received their required training. I make a motion we sign.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And this is a bill that we receive each year from our fire warden for the 3 different precincts for the fire permits which they issue. This year, Ossipee Corner Fire Precinct issued 263 permits, Center Ossipee 311, West Ossipee 118. We will be reimbursing the 3 precincts a total of $3,515. Anybody have any questions on this? I make a motion we approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have Highway Department work log here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at it. We have a series of Reports from our animal control officer. They're here in the folder if anybody'd like to look at them.
Okay, that's the donkeys.
We received a card. The selectmen thank you for all of your efforts for the town, especially your attempts to secure a respectable beach for the town on the lake, from the walkers on Channel. You have a water and sewer warrant to allow the tax collector to collect $40 in water and sewer fees, and make a motion to sign it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Old business. Brad, anything new on 28-171?
The other thing, because I hadn't been to the last two meetings, and I told Ellen how she conveyed it to you or not, I did talk to Mike Dugas down there about the timing you had asked about for the roundabout construction down at the intersection, and he had said it'd probably be 2020 be the construction date for that because of the time needed to for the right-of-way purchases they'd have to do to make that all work within that intersection. So.
Anything new on sidewalks?
Yeah, no, I did reach out a little bit. They said the person I need to talk to is going to be over District 3. Where's the Alan Hanscom is his name. He's a district engineer there. About the the issues we're having with Main Street and stuff like that, and all our different options there and stuff. So that's still a work in progress.
Anything, I see we approved the chapter 11 permit for the coverage.
Right. Yep.
Anything else going on there?
No, other than we're trying to set up a meeting with the two abutters on the side of the river that the bridge is sitting on. Be the Eldridges on one side, and then the family that owns the Bear Camp Gardens on the other side, to procure easements there because construction work has to happen on the shoreline of the river right in there, and it's going to affect both properties there. That we're trying to have that meeting last Friday. The parties couldn't make it, so they tried to schedule that for this week sometime. Yep.
Anything on mitigation requirements yet?
No.
Anything from this?
No,
Nothing?
Nothing was said, so.
Okay. Any other old business? New business? Public input? Anybody? Okay.
I'd like to say that.
Sure.
Kyle Copeland, Center Ossipee.
Yep.
I've got just a question, like, seeing more about what's going on in the newspaper with this lawsuit moving forward against the Sheehan's, I have to raise concern about that. I have a lot of neighbors, the kid wouldn't make it today, that have also expressed concern about it as well. We don't understand. There was a vote, it was a good vote, there was nothing wrong with the vote. We already did a recount. Now we're pushing to try and obviously do some kind of a revote later on. It just feels to me like that's a second attempt at something for no reason. You don't have a reason to have a second vote. Why are we going after the Sheehan's? Why are we wasting our taxpayer money in a lawsuit? I feel like it's just kind of like a witch hunt at this point. It's just time to move on. And I think a lot of people in town agree it's time to move on.
And an awful lot of town people do not agree. The fact of the matter is, and I tried to clarify this last week, and I will say again, the Sheehan's are good people, good, honest, hardworking people. We have a legal disagreement, and the place that needs to be answered is in front of a court. What the selectmen are charged with doing every year, and it's no different with the 1,000 decisions I've made in 5 years, and certainly both of them have made as well, is we have to take all of the information that we have and then make a decision that's in the best interest of the town. I said last week, and I'll say again, we met with our attorney. If I were not completely convinced of the strength of the position of the town, then my vote would not have been to pursue remedy in court. Based on the information that was provided to me by our attorney, I believe we've made the right decision. Now it will be decided by a judge. There are many people who believe on both sides what they believe. We are charged with taking all of the information that we have and making the very best decision that we can, and that's what we're doing. Ma'am?
So what is your
Your
next
name,
step?
please?
Oh, I'm sorry, my name is Barbara Zola from Levitt Road in Ossipee. So what is the reason for taking them to court? Is it ultimately to purchase the town beach?
I'll try to explain it as best I can without, well, understanding that once we made the decision that we're doing the action we do, we really do need the court decide it. It can't be tried in the newspaper and it can't be tried in the selectmen's meeting. The position that we have taken, is that the owners engaged in certain conduct which was not in good faith to our purchase and sales agreement. Things like posting the property that we're trying to buy with signs telling people to vote no. The third party who was attempting to buy it, paying for the anonymous mailings and the signs that went up on the property that we were trying to buy. Again, it's not that the owners decided that they didn't want to sell it. They could have done that. They decided they wanted to sell it to somebody else after we already had a purchase and sales agreement in place. The analogy I use to best make this simple is if you yourself found a house that you wanted to buy for $100,000 and you signed a purchase and sales agreement and you needed 30 days to get your financing, which would be pretty normal. After you've signed the purchase and sales agreement, the owner decides that they want to sell it to somebody else. Maybe it's a friend of theirs or whatever. So the owner goes to your bank and precludes you from being able to get a loan so that they can then turn around and sell it to somebody else. That, quite frankly, is not fair, it's not ethical, and it's not legal. When you enter into an agreement with somebody, you have to abide by the agreement. Now, that will be settled in court. We believe, based on what we're being told by legal counsel, that the action that we're taking is appropriate. A judge is going to decide at the end of the day whether or not they agree with us or if they agree with the owners. That's the process.
I understand all of that, and you might even have, what you say may very well be true, you have a legal leg to stand on. All of that may be true, but in the end, you're spending taxpayers' dollars for a lawyer to go to court. What's your end plan?
If I had my brothers, and I think that the only way that you can rectify that is to have another vote.
We already voted no.
No. Well, and again, being that you voted no, obviously you feel that way. For the vast majority who voted yes, they feel a different way.
But you needed
Right.
a 2/3 vote, and you did not get.
Let me address
Please,
that.
please.
You stated that we had a good vote. We did not have a good vote. There were people out, don't shake your head at me, please. There were people outside that could not get in the building because we did not anticipate that number of people. But those people were also addressed and told to go home because they were never going to be able to get in and vote. These people have,
told them that?
these people have sent us letters. We have them on file and they've been presented to our attorney. And it happened several times, not just one. So we did not really have a good vote when people could not get in to hear what was going on and to get their legal right as a citizen and as a taxpayer of this town to get into that voting booth and mark yes or no. So it was not a good vote.
Because you didn't plan.
No, this is not sour grapes. There are people that have come to all of us and said, I didn't get a chance to vote, I want to vote.
And I heard that that was the biggest turnout you've ever had at
It is.
a vote.
It is.
It is.
It is.
Absolutely.
So there may be, I mean, is that funny?
No, this makes no sense to me that you think that it wasn't a good turnout or that people didn't get to
No,
vote.
I didn't say that. I didn't say it wasn't a good turnout. I said it wasn't a good vote because citizens were not allowed to get into town hall because of the backlog and get into the voting booth and vote, which is their right to do. So those people have come to us. Some of them have written letters, others have spoken to all three selectmen and people here in town hall and said, I really wanted to vote. I don't know how they wanted to vote. Maybe they all wanted to vote no. I have no idea. But it was their right to come into this building and vote, and they did not get in.
And how many people is this?
How many people do you think are turned away?
A lot.
We
A lot
got
of
200 and some odd, 300 votes?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I think, one, I think what Sam just raised is a separate issue from our issue with the Sheehan.
Right.
That is a separate issue in the sense that we've not alleged that the Sheehans had anything to do with the
No,
people
I
that are
would
not allowed to
say
get in. The fact of the matter is, if this had been decided by a broad margin, we probably would not be here. The question at the end of the day came down that it literally failed by 8 votes. If 8 people who had voted no had voted yes, then it would have passed. That's the fact, that's the flat math of it, out of 500 people, nearly 500, 468. The question then becomes, did the conduct of the seller affect 8 people? And I think, quite frankly, you would be very, very hard pressed to conclude that it hadn't. That is the basis for us challenging in court. What Sam raised is a separate issue, which is of no fault of the Sheehan's, and quite frankly is of no fault of ours or the town clerk or the town moderator. Nobody ever expected 500 people to show up to vote. Our average town meeting, we have between 100 and 150 to decide $5 million. Nobody ever expected those number of people to show up. That is I believe, a separate issue from what it was that you were talking about, which is the legal case against the Sheehan's.
Yeah, so I guess the whole reason for going after the Sheehan's then is so that you have another chance to vote on it?
It's 2 things. It's that, and it's the fact that the town of Ossipee spent a considerable amount of time, effort, and money, okay? I mean, this wasn't, we spent a lot of money getting to that point. And one of the remedies of that lawsuit is that they would be responsible for the costs incurred by the town to date, if in fact the court finds that it was an unfair process.
And if they don't, then you just.
It's over.
And then it's dead,
over.
then it's done.
Okay.
I mean, and then it's done.
All right.
Ma'am?
Excuse me, Kim Lee, just from Ossipee. So who turned these people away? Who told them that they couldn't come in here and vote?
I know what Sam is referring to, and that is information which has been conveyed to our attorney, and I'm, quite frankly, I'm hesitant to discuss, because that is a serious
But
part
they're
of.
saying that somebody was out there saying you can't go in there and vote, is what these people were
No, I
saying.
did not say that. They said that you'll never get in there to vote. I didn't say they told them they couldn't. They said you'll never, so they
it was
turned
still a
around and
good
went
vote.
home.
They could still get in here to vote, whether they didn't want to wait, or, I mean, if somebody told me you'll never get in there, it's gonna take you an hour, hey, guess what? You know, I'm waiting in line, I want to vote. Either you want to vote or you don't want to vote, but if somebody,
But some of these people were elderly and some had children.
Not
Then
only
they
that,
should have gotten
they
here
didn't
early.
get a chance to get in
They-
and
they-
hear the meeting of what took place and what was explained about taxes and different stuff. People outside didn't get a chance to hear that. And they had a fair opportunity to get in there and hear it.
but that's a learning experience.
Yeah, well, what's gonna happen is the judge is gonna make a decision, and whatever that decision is what we'll follow by.
We have anything else, sir?
I'd just like to ask you, Craig Rollins, Center Ossipee. I have heard anecdotally that there is a cap that the town can, dollar-wise, how much we can spend on legal representation or with attorneys. Is that a fact? Can you clarify?
I don't know, one, where you would have heard that.
Okay.
But 2, we have a legal line item in our operating budget. And additionally, we raised, last year, the town meeting passed unanimously a vote raising $25,000 to pursue a town beach. We have I believe our legal line is $40,000, $35,000 a year that we raise every year. As you can well imagine, the town runs into legal questions with all of our boards,
day.
planning board, zoning board, and all of that all of the time.
Every day.
So,
Okay, understood. I believe you've clarified the information that I received the figures sound remarkably similar, but somebody inferred to me that it was a cap. No, it's what is what the town actually has possessed. Okay, thank you.
We appropriate in every line, for instance, a legal line item, which I believe is in the selectmen's budget.
No, it's actually its own separate.
Separate line item, okay. Because we've appropriated, say, $35,000, which we did, there can be many reasons. I don't remember I don't think we've ever overspent it, but I mean, you could have something happen tomorrow or next year that caused you to spend $100,000 on legal. If you do that, then you need to under-expend some other area of the budget or else run the risk of going over. But we make educated guesses based on previous year's consumption of services, whether we're talking about legal or how much salt and sand we use at the highway department, to budget a certain amount for certain items. but there is not per se a cap on anything.
Thank you for the
Okay.
clarification, I understand.
Okay.
where you're coming from.
Nelson?
Kyle Copeland, Ossipee again. On the signs that were out at the Sheehan's property at the end of, I assume it was at the end of Gretchen Road, is that the ones you're talking about?
Well, then, on the property itself.
Did anyone from the town approach them about those signs before the vote?
Not that I'm aware of.
About, you're saying, why wouldn't, if there was an issue with that, why wouldn't someone approach them about it?
Well, one, that's the benefit. First of all, a couple of things. At that point, the communication between the sellers and us had broken down, one. And two, had it passed, all of this discussion would have been moot, would it not? So the damage had already been done. And if it had passed, we wouldn't be having any conversation. The thing that I find that is mildly ironic, and I'm not saying it's you because I'm not saying that you're from the campground or otherwise, but the thing that I find is mildly ironic is that the campers are, in many cases, are accusing us of being unfair to the Sheehan's, when it is my wholehearted belief that if not for their conduct, the Sheehan's would have already been enjoying a check for the full amount of what they were asking for with all of the conditions that they asked for. So who's been unfair to who?
I see your point. One of the last thing on the Sheehan's, I was reading online in an article in the paper the other day, I think it was a newspaper, or maybe the Ossipee Lake Alliance or something, but there was an article somewhere that had something about stuff the Sheehan's had done in town. Like they one year they had paid for the fireworks in town when there wasn't in the budget, or another time that they've been donating money regularly, like over $1,000 a year to the Old Home Week for as long as they've been in town. All these things that her father and people had done, things. It's just seeing all that stuff in the press. I mean, the stuff I've heard from neighboring towns, from friends who live in like Freedom and Effingham around there, they're like, it doesn't paint Ossipee in a very good light in general. That we're going after these people that have done all these awesome things for the town. It just seems like that. It doesn't make us look very good overall. Is my opinion.
Listen, lawsuits never look with anyone, and what I will continue to say as best I can. This is not about their character. You talk about the parents, Betty and Tony Courier. Let me tell you how
people in the world.
Hold on a second. Let me finish.
Accused of fraud.
Hold on. Hold on.
How's that not about their character?
Let me finish for a second. You talk about their parents. You talk about a family that I know. Betty Courier, the mother, knitted me socks for years. In exchange for socks, I took her mincemeat pies. I've known these people and have been friends with these people for 30 years.
Yep.
This is not personal. At the end of the day, we are charged with making a decision that we believe is in the best interest of the town. You want to try something hard. Try taking somebody's property for not paying taxes, somebody you've known your whole life. It still has to be done. This is not personal. This isn't a character assassination on them. Nope. These are good, honest, hardworking people whom we have a legal disagreement with. And I want this very clear. Good people make bad choices every day. Good people get misled by people who don't have honorable intentions every day. That doesn't make them bad people. At the end of the day, this board is charged with taking all of that information and making the best decision we can. I said last week, it doesn't make us right. It doesn't make us right. We're charged with making the best decision we can with all the information we have. Some people love to tear apart every word I say. I said last week it doesn't make it right, it makes us Selectmen. My explanation and rationale for saying that is our job is to take all that information and make the best decision we can. That's what it is. You can disagree with me, and obviously you do, and I respect that. But please look at the motives. It's not to hurt anybody. It's to settle a legal disagreement.
But ultimately, it's about a beach, a town beach, not about important things that are life and death for anybody. This is a luxury item that a very small percentage of this town is going to benefit from. That's what it comes down to.
But in all, 100% wrong. With all due respect, that's said from somebody who has a beach.
That's right.
We've had this conversation, and I'm not vilifying you for having it. God bless you. I'm happy you do. It is not life or death, but to therefore say it's not important to a lot of people, I think that very much
100% wrong.
Let me
misunderstates.
clarify. I don't mean that it's not important to people. I'm talking about a very small percentage of this town is going to use a town beach.
Okay.
A very small percentage. Everyone who's above the age of 30 that got up and spoke was made sure to mention, I'm not gonna use it, but I wanna make sure little kids get to use it. So those are the ones that are gonna get the benefit from it. But the parents of those kids didn't show up to vote. They didn't care enough to get out here. Maybe the ones that didn't wanna stand in the cold and turn around and left and weren't committed enough to it, I don't know. But the people who did care to show up, enough of them showed up that said no. That's the bottom line.
And you are entitled to your opinion. Ma'am?
Kim Wages again from Center Ossipee. So if the vote had gone the other way, right, but there were still people out there who were told, don't bother, you're not gonna get in, would we still be doing all of this?
If we read
First of
letters,
first of all, again.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do,
Okay.
and let me finish.
Yeah.
The issue that Sam brought up is not the issue that we have with the Sheehan's. What we have instructed and what Ed Comeau has instructed any individual, whether they were voting for or against, if anybody has a problem with the way the meeting was conducted about whether or not they had an opportunity to vote or participate, it's incumbent upon them to take it up with the court. That is a completely separate issue from us in our issue with the Sheehan's that's going to be addressed in court. I will tell you that my understanding, Ed, correct me if I'm wrong, the standard that the court would look up as far as other individuals is if one single taxpayer was interfered with being able to vote, again, whether they were voting yes or no, then the court would give a tremendous amount of weight to that. Am I correct?
Well, I'm not the judge, but the issue is there are standards and criteria for voting, and if they're questioned, they have to be looked into to make sure everybody's right was followed.
But that's a completely separate issue from what the issue that we have, that we're trying to litigate with the Sheehan's. We're not blaming them in any way, shape, or form for people not being able to vote. That has nothing to do. Excuse me?
There's two issues here, basically, the Sheehan issue, and then there's the unfair vote.
The voting issue is being raised, my understanding, by individuals with the court that have nothing to do with this Board of Selectmen.
The only reason I brought it up is because you said it was a good vote, and I wanted to explain that there were people that felt that it wasn't a good vote. It had nothing to do with the Sheehan's.
there were people who said that. That doesn't mean that that's true. You know what I mean? Like, anybody could say that after any vote because it didn't go the way they wanted it to go. You know what I mean? Come on. So a couple people got together and wrote some letters. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. We were here. I was here. I stood in that line. I waited.
And that's fine.
You say wow all you like.
Excuse me?
She said wow. I said you can say wow all you like.
Again, you're entitled to your opinion, we're entitled to ours. Do you have anything else? Ma'am?
Just one more question. We have a town beach right now at Duncan Lake, correct? Is that gonna be sold?
That's been no decision made yet. One of the things that was brought up during the Selectmen's information night, somebody asked that very question. The Selectmen can't sell any property. If town meeting at a future date decided they wanted to sell off Duncan Lake, then they could do that. How I would actually feel about that, honestly, we don't know. In preparation for that question, we did 3 or 4 weeks ago instruct our assessor to give us a value. Because, I mean, the first thing is it worth $100,000 or is it worth $500,000? I don't know. That is a decision that ultimately a town meeting would make, not this board.
Okay. And if it's, well, right now, the town owns it, right? So the town does
Correct.
have beach?
Yes.
A place for all these kids and anybody that wants to can go?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Anything else on the business?
Can I ask one more question?
Sure.
So, with the Camp Secocas, it's got like 50-something acres, is that correct?
It's 52 to 53.
Are we keeping all those acres? Like, what is the reason for a town beach to have 50-something acres?
Well, first of all, let's put the cart before the horse because we don't have it.
Right, I know, but if we did,
If,
I just don't understand, like they brought up, let's get some more money, let's sell Dunkin', let's sell some of that 50-something, because I don't know what we would do with 50-something acres for a beach.
yeah, if you actually look, I don't think we have them up in here anymore, but if you actually look at the map of the Camp Secocas property, yes, it's 53 acres, but a bunch of it is swamp. A bunch of that 53 acres is not buildable, it's not usable, you couldn't sell it to anybody, you couldn't be used for anything. The thing, and I'll go back, and I don't want to rehash all of this, the thing that makes the Camp Secocas property so desirable is not just the beach. It's the access from Route 16B and it's the availability of parking. There have been some people who have worked for now I myself have been involved in trying to find a town beach for Ossipee Lake for about 15 years. What's taken so long? Those sites are virtually non-existent. The issue that we came up with this quote-unquote free beach that was offered is it would park 15 cars. What do you do when 25 show up? What do you do when 25 more show up? You put it all down a road like Hodgson Shore Road where there's no additional parking, it would create a nightmare for the neighbors.
Was a study done to get those 15 parking spaces?
Yes,
And
yes.
who did the study?
White Mountain Survey.
Okay.
I mean, that's one of the things, again, one of the pieces of misinformation that's out there is, oh, you can park 40 cars there. No, you can't. I thought 12. I absolutely defer to Jim Rhines, who has tremendous planning experience.
So somebody at White Mountain Survey
Correct.
actually looked at that?
Yes.
Donated?
And can, yes, and could only come up with 15 parking.
parking spaces, and so
You know?
we can go to them and talk to them, and
Yeah.
they can say, yes, that you
Yeah,
guys
he
went to
said so in a
them.
public meeting, but, yes.
Okay.
We took him down to do a complete site assessment. And one of the things that we needed to hear was, how many sites can you get on there? There's a mention in one of the posts, and I don't want to spend a lot of time, because I don't give a lot of validity to anonymous posts, that talks about the fact that it's 375 feet deep, and it is. But it mentions nothing of the fact that there's a significant amount of wetland, and I mean wetland, standing water wetland, that separates what little parking there would be from the 90 feet of sand. It's not that we're looking to give those.
My neighbor walked it, and he said that there was room for 35 cars. So, I'll talk to White Mountain Survey and make sure that you guys did your due diligence, that's all.
Dr. Jim Rhines, who has extensive planning experience, extensive wetland.
Watch the shows, they're on.
Yeah, but, you know, 15 cars is what they can park.
I'll make a phone call.
Okay?
You can, he was up in the public, it's on video.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay? Anybody have anything else? If not, I make a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.